I think I like to sort of say, because I have to be able to brand our program is always a product challenge. And of course, the society has to be not more than 4 words or whatever. Is that instead of trying to create the architecture of one object that generates or spills out profit, is to capture the energy of everyday transactions.
Yeah.
Which is why we like architecture. Actually, it's the nit and gritty of everything that happens, and in some regards, it's going back to that. It's not just the building of the temple. It's the building of the action on the street, the exploration of that open, contested space where people start adding stuff. I mean, amazing things in favelas when they get started. People get excited about what you're doing, and it's an open architecture. It says, "Yeah, and I want to contribute to it." It's not a closed architecture. It says, "Yeah, I'll set it up." The highlight is that do whatever you want next to it. Enjoy its interaction. I love the Photoshop places that are on the 4th floor of that one warehouse where it's high-end fashion shots, and they know they're being seen by the highlight. They're not even attached. I mean, when did 4th floor commercial real estate go more than the 4th floor?
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's the Japanese
connection. That's the Japanese connection. Yeah.
No, I think you cross some kind of threshold of density, and all of a sudden the ground is no longer enough. Right?
And people want to attract and participate by contributing their own version of what's inspired by you. So it's catalytic. Yeah.
But maybe you can go back to what you just said, open and closed architecture. I think that's the first time I hear that in such a direct way. I mean, it's that kind of thing. Is that something that replaces their traditional architect, or are we at a point where we say
my young designers want to be known? They don't want to be buried.
See, that's
the
other
same
thing.
But at the same time, learning to live with they were catalytic and creating something that set values and standards. I think the high line's open-ended. My concern is they'll codify it and brand it. I'm more interested in the fact that it generates other ideas. It's just it sets a quality of thinking. Values of public access, the values of finished work.
But doesn't that conflict with all the marketing efforts of anyone who wants to make $1 in this operation?
I think Standard did fine.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's okay, American version of a Dutch building. But anyway, it's fine.
I'm just saying, it sounds all very good what you're saying, but it's just, does that work for...
But I mean, that's what you're pushing, right? I mean, you're pushing with the architecture. It sets up a certain kind of creative energy that attracts things rather than just say it's commercial, it's convivial, it's public.
Yeah, and the very exciting point of the High Line for me is, today I walked, and it's a nice combination of the infrastructure and architecture and furniture. So such a different levels come together. So you can sit on, and you can.
Not percent for public art, which is a very different.
No, that's just part of it. Yeah,
so
I understand that. So it qualifies as open architecture as opposed to the closed architecture that needs to be enhanced by putting 2% into art or whatever amenities.
No, it's not percent for architecture. It was a commitment.
Understood.
And that's the difference. I mean, that's the Phoenix art. It was a commitment to making public space. Not that we have to do this or we won't get 2 floors on our building. Completely different argument. And that's your point. Is if it's commercial, that's fine, but there's a level. There's certain ethics to this.
So it's a nice extension of the street. So it's kind of an infrastructure, but then you can just stay and enjoy architectural feelings. So it's now creating the new value of the public space or urban space.
Now let me be devil's advocate again. I think that's my job tonight. I noticed that. If they had taken down that High Line in due course, and so, here in this country, you create a business, you build your factory, you build your infrastructure, and then for some reason, whatever, business goes out of business, and you just
grind it up and send it to Japan.
No, you just leave it. You just leave it. It deteriorates. It beautifully deteriorates. I mean, I remember from school, going up to Lackawanna, Buffalo, like. These steel mills, these spaces, wild stuff. Well, there was quality into that. I mean, you can't really. So it's the same with the High Line. If they had taken it down, if they'd taken proper care of putting it up and taking it down when they don't need it anymore, wouldn't have that, right? So this thing is sitting rusting for 30 years or whatever until someone comes along, until the time.
I don't think
it's
it was the
ready
High
for
Line
that.
itself. It was the idea that the
No,
that,
no, I
that
mean, you
the
had-
initiators saw in it
Right.
that there was
Right.
value in certain
There's
things,
value in
and they were
that.
able to residential.
But that took
But
some
not every
time to
historic,
understand
not
that
old
there's
industrial
value.
landscape is valuable. I mean, some stuff needs to be digested. But what they saw was an ability to create an armature for something that was different than Broadway, that was different than,
Right.
Midtown, that had more to do with just folks in town. I
Right.
mean, essentially,
Right.
in the
It's
middle of
there.
Midtown, which
Yeah,
is,
I mean, and
oh,
it's
talk
There,
about
no one knows
radical
what
proposal.
to do with it, and then they say, okay, how about
But in
Talk
any-
about pricing. I mean, it's a radical idea that we're going to put ordinary value into property, into something that's in the middle of Midtown at a time that was skyrocketing in value. I mean, to
Yeah,
the point where, commercial property on the first floor of Times Square is $2,000 a square foot, right? Okay, so they say, no, we're going to create something just for folks in town. Yeah, what? Off a service line that basically brought products into the department stores that are over there in Midtown. I mean,
Right.
that's a pretty radical proposal. Yeah.
No, it's true. Yeah, but I mean, it kind of took the context of New York to make it have that power, right?
And they went back to
any
the other
other
New York.
city, it would have been.
Taking
Well, we've
it
got
down.
lots of abandoned stuff all over the place, but
Well,
there's
Chicago,
very
I
little
mean-
left of like uselessness in New York
Richard
City.
Daly said, we're going to do something. We're going to cover over that hole in the railroad yard that separated us from Bryant Park. We're going to cover this thing if and then I'm going to resign. I mean, he did that. I mean, everybody went, you're crazy, you're absolutely correct, but we want that back. We want to feel connected. And he did it. I mean, Amish Kapoor piece and so forth, but his thing was, I'm going to cover over that last piece that's kept us from the lake, which is sort of identifying those key pieces, and look at the residual impact on that. But the problem is, no developer could ever calculate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
don't work in
no,
that
no.
way.
I mean, in that sense,
And their
well,
value
in
system.
that sense, it's easy with developers. They're so one-dimensional. They
There's-
don't really
there's-
care about.
well, there are
those
other
things.
economics.
It's just
Yeah,
this
yeah.
thing here.
No,
No,
that's-
High Line is not in. I mean, now it's interesting. Now that
Yeah, but
they've done their work.
But
you
very
know.
few developers find original. There are a couple developers who will find original values. Most developers are followers.
Right. That's what I mean.
Right.
That's why you don't have to worry about them too much.
Yeah. The ones who innovate make 7 or 8% in over 15 years. The ones that follow are trying to go 30% in 2 years. Yeah.